Do not adjust your video playback devices. The car behind me is really supposed to look like this. It's the Kia Soul EV and it's got the kind of appearance that divides opinions. My wife asked me to park it further down the street in case the neighbours thought it was ours. But I'm not so negative about it. In fact, I rather like it because I've driven it and it's a really great EV. First, we need to tackle how this car looks head on. You'll either appreciate its bold quirkiness or you'll hate how boxy it is. There is a less garish blue and black paint option, and you might find the black and red one more serious. None of these paint jobs cost extra though, they're all included in the same price. In fact, apart from a range of internal and external accessories, there aren't any options to choose from. You can add a few decals and flashes to the exterior, although our press car doesn't include any of these. In fact, the Kia Soul is only available as an EV in Europe. There are no fossil fuel variants available anymore. The 17-inch alloys are included, and these are an improvement on the 16-inch wheels of the original Soul EV. There are LED lights all round. The rear window privacy glass comes as standard. Since this is an SUV, it rides higher than the average car. It's actually very tall, it's 1.6 metres. Mounting rails for a roof rack or roof box are built in. The wheel arches appear to be made of replaceable plastic, which makes them very easy to maintain if they get damaged. Keyless entry is standard, but you do have to press this button to actually make it work. You can see that the mirrors open and close automatically. The interior of the Soul EV, however, is far less controversial. In fact, it's a rather pleasant place to be. There's black leather seating as standard, and the front seats are comfortable with loads of room. The front seats have electric adjustment for everything you need, including height and lumbar, so you can really adjust them the way you like. They're heated too, and so is the steering wheel. There's a USB charging port at the front, and this is an obvious Qi charger. It even has the logo. There are convenient dual cup holders at the front, and the glove box could carry a little bit more than just a pair of gloves. Unlike some of the EV hatchbacks we've looked at recently, there's loads of room in the back. There's loads of knee room and massive amounts of headroom. So if you're over 6 foot, and I'm only average height, you're going to be absolutely fine. You may not necessarily be able to get 3 6-footers in a row here, but 2 would sit comfortably for ages in the back of this car. There's also one USB port at the back for your kids to charge their phones while you're on journeys, but no air conditioning outlets. There are loads of nice touches like this magazine holder at the back of the passenger front seat. You've also got child fixing points, and there's even electric windows in the back. If there is one big downside with the Kia Soul EV, it's how small this boot is. This is only 315 litres, which is only slightly larger than the Vauxhall Corsa E, which is, in other respects, a smaller hatchback. You do get this cubby underneath, and this seems like a bit of a waste because you can see there's actually plenty of room there, and if they drop this down they could have had a few extra litres. It is great having a cubby to put all your cables in, but we still think that you wouldn't be able to fit a full set of luggage for adults in the back here, even hand luggage. Just as a sideline thing, you've got the subwoofer here for the Harman Kardon speaker system. So this is where you're almost certainly going to have to take the rear seats down. And if you do this, and as you can see, it's got the typical 60 or 40-60 arrangement, you get a much larger space, 1,339 litres, which is quite significant, and you can see it's fairly flat as well, so you can put larger pieces of cargo in there without causing any problems. But you do have to make the choice whether you want cargo or humans in this car. But that is the only major blot on the Kia Soul EV's copybook, because otherwise this is a great car. It has a 64 kilowatt hour battery pack that lasts for 280 miles. Obviously that's not the battery pack, that's the engine, we do know that. And that 280 miles is more than twice the original Soul EV's 132 miles, which is a big increase. With a 14p per kilowatt hour supply, this car costs 3.2p a mile, which is pretty frugal. There's lots of tech in the Soul EV, and consequently loads of buttons for turning off and on things like blind spot detection and lane departure warnings. Our favourite, however, is this one. Yes, the Kia Soul EV has a head-up display or HUD, and it's pretty good. By default, you get current speed, speed limit, and 2 lines that glow orange if you stray out of your lane, which is a great way of providing lane departure warnings in a way that's not too intrusive. The 7-inch screen could show Vauxhall a thing or two about how to design digital instrumentation. Some of the bars are a little opaque, but it looks nice and gives you the main things you need to know at a glance. The steering wheel has lots of buttons, and these paddles that look like gear shifters, but actually alter the level of regenerative braking. There are lots of big knobs for the climate control, making that easy to use while driving. It's really easy to get going in the Soul EV. Just press the brake pedal and hit the start-stop button. And once the system is booted, which does take a few seconds, you can simply rotate this knob into drive or reverse and you're off. And you can also press this button to get into park. There's an electronic parking brake, and this button changes the drive mode. There are Eco Plus, Eco Normal and Sport options. The 10.3-inch media control screen looks exactly the same as the one in the Hyundai Ioniq, which is unsurprising considering the partnership between Hyundai and Kia. It's nicely laid out and it's easy to understand and well structured. We like this big battery percentage on the right, although you can customize the look and this disappears in full nav mode. The sat-nav instructions are clear, but it does appear to be missing keyword entry, which is a bit of a disappointment. You also only get TMC traffic, which on the plus side should never expire. You get DAB radio and support for Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. There are 10 speakers in the Harman Kardon audio system, so audio is decent too. There are a huge amount of options in the setup screen, particularly in the vehicle section, where you can configure how things like Eco mode are set up, or indeed Sport mode or normal mode. And there's lots of other stuff here as well, how the media is controlled and also how the car is connected via UVO or Kia Live. Overall, the interior of the Soul EV is a really nice place to be and everything is really well laid out and within easy reach. The Kia Soul EV has a 201 bhp motor as standard, and even though it weighs nearly 1800 kilos, it's still pretty nippy. It hits 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds, which is exactly the same as the Corsa E. The steering is lighter and a bit more wafty. There's also noticeable torque steer under heavy acceleration as the traction control struggles to keep the car in the straight line. Around town the car feels quick and able to take most petrol cars away from the lights. The handling does have some role, but not enough to be disconcerting. It's not a true driver's car, but as a vehicle to get you around town quickly with a minimum of fuss, it ticks all the boxes. It's much less sprightly in eco mode, but we suggest these are used when on long journeys to get the most range out of the battery. If you've got home charging, leave it in sport and enjoy the ride. The safety features on the Soul EV are a bit of a festival of acronyms like FCA, BSD and LKA. But most of these are worth having, like forward collision avoidance and blind spot detection, which comes up as a orange symbol on your side mirror, and it also appears here on the HUD. The cruise control is adaptive, although Kia doesn't actually call it that, they call it smart cruise control. But as we've argued before, it's a bit of an essential feature in these days of nose to tail traffic. The lane keep assist does give you a little nudge from time to time to make sure you stay on the straight and narrow, but it's not as intrusive as the one in the Vauxhall Corsa E. And also we really like the way it also gives you an orange symbol on the HUD. There's a rear reversing camera with sensors, but no front sensors, which is one omission in a car that is otherwise packed with technology. Overall though, there's loads of safety tech built in, and it's very well implemented, giving lots of advice without great intrusion into the driving style. With no major options to choose from, most people will be paying the basic price, which is £34,295. This seems pretty reasonable considering all the tech that's included in the car. Like many Kias, there's a very generous 7-year, 100,000 mile warranty, which does get passed on to future second-hand purchasers. The battery warranty is also 7 years and 100,000 miles, but unlike some battery warranties, it's only for 65%, not 70% of the capacity of the battery. One downside is that the insurance group is 34, which is quite high and getting close to the insurance group of premium luxury vehicles. Overall, I really like driving this car. It's maybe not quite as fun and spunky as the Corsa E, but it's a very pleasant place to be in. One thing we also have to say is that the passenger experience is better than any other EV we've tested recently, apart from the Tesla Model X obviously, and that's like £100,000. Kia's put together a really competitive package, and anybody competing in the £35,000 mark should really take note. The 0 to 70 is amazing. And there you go, 70. The deciding factor with the Kia Soul EV is, does Boxy But Good work for you? Because if it doesn't, you won't want to buy it. But if you do like the way it looks, it's a great electric vehicle. It's reasonably quick, it's got great range, and it's not that badly priced either. And it's absolutely packed with technology and features. So even if you don't like the way it looks, it bodes really well for the Hyundai Kia collective, because This drivetrain is in a number of other vehicles from that partnership. So there could be another vehicle with this drivetrain that's for you. But if not, and you like the way this one goes, buy it.